When you see quotients or products of negative square roots, you first have to simplify the square root itself, and then you take the whole thing and you simplify it. So for example, when you have a quotient of square root of negative 12 all over the square root of 6, we can rewrite this first as the square root of negative 1 times 4 times 3. And then this is over the square root of negative 1 times, this is times 2 times 3. Okay, so this is now the square root of negative 1, the square root of 4, and the square root of 3 in the numerator. We have the square root of negative 1, the square root of 2, and the square root of 3. Now this is just I times 2 times the square root of 3 all over I times the square root of 2 and the square root of 3. Now that I have it in terms of I can simplify. We can cancel these i's out. I over I will just give us 1. 1 times anything is at anything. We can also cancel these square roots of 3's here. So we're just left with 2 over the square root of 2. And we can simplify this as well. This will be just the square root of 2. Okay, moving on to this one. We have the square root of 7 and the square root of negative 13. So square root of 7 we can't really do anything with because that's a prime number. But the square root of negative 13, we have negative 1 times 13. And this is then the square root of 7 times I times the square root of 13. And we normally wouldn't keep it like this because we can use the commutative property of multiplication to write this as the square root of 7 times the square root of 13. This is the same as the square root of 7 times 13. And 7 times 13 gives us 91. So we can write this as I times the square root of 91.